then check this out.
China just demoted their foreign minister and appointed veteran diplomat Wang Yi. He's a fairly familiar character. Do you anticipate any change in relations with China as a result of this?
Here we go.
So look, we're aware clearly of the decision, the recent change. This is an internal matter for PRC, so we leave it up to them to speak to this change and comments and any questions. Look, United States is committed to deepening channels of communication with PRC to prevent any misunderstandings and miscalculations, so that doesn't change anything.
In Israel, the judicial overhaul reform is prompting thousands of people to protest in the streets. Is the president, does he sympathize with these protesters?
So look, I think it is clear there is a significant debate and discussion that is happening currently in Israel on judicial reform. And such debates are healthy. That's how we see it. They're part of our vibrant democracy. I've said this many times before. Our relationship with Israel, at the core of that relationship is democracy, is our values that we share. And so we urge authorities, for sure, to protect and respect the right of peaceful assembly. And so we'll continue to make sure to relay that.
The House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, is talking more about starting an impeachment investigation into the president. What's your response to that? And if he did that, would that make any kind of cooperation with the House impossible going forward?
Okay.
Look, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals. I'm not going to get into what the House Republicans may or may not do. What I can speak to is what the president is focused on. He's focused on real priorities that the American families care about. He's focused on the American family, but they want to focus on his family. They can do whatever it is that they wish to do, but we're going to stay focused. We're going to stay steadfast. And there are two examples of today of how the president is moving forward. I just talked about the mental health event that the president just had, and announcing actions to expand access to mental health care and tackle this crisis, which is, as you all know, a critical part of his unity agenda that he's spoken about for the past 2 years and will continue to do so. And let's not forget, earlier today, Emmett Till, and what we were able to do, what the president was able to do to make sure that there's a monument that continues, a monument for Emmett Till and his mom, to continue to shed light on that part of our history and to tell that story so we can move forward. That's going to be the president's focus. He wants to work in a bipartisan way. He does. We have been able to do that. We have the bipartisan infrastructure law. We have the CHIPS and Science Act. We have the PACT Act for veterans. We have found ways. I think more than 300 pieces of legislation that the president has signed in the past 2 years has been bipartisan. That's what the president wants to do. That's how he wants to move forward, and that's going to be our focus.
This is embarrassing.
I just had a follow-up on the dog. The span of time in those emails was 4 months, ending in January. Do you know how many incidents have occurred since then?
Honestly, I would have to refer you to the Secret Service. They would have that information for you. Okay.
Karine, back to Trevor Reed. Can you share when the administration first found out about Reed's circumstances? When was President Biden first briefed about it?
So I don't have a timeline to share with you on this, so just don't have anything at this time to share about a timeline. But I just want to reiterate, as I have the moment to do again, is that U.S. citizens should not travel to Ukraine. It is not safe. And not only that, they certainly should not be on the battlefield. It is a real risk of being captured or even death. Just don't have anything more to share on the timeline. Clearly, the president has been briefed. He's aware. I just don't have a timeline to share.
Here we go.
President Biden or anyone from the administration spoken directly with Trevor Reed?
I don't have any calls to read out at this time.
And then finally, just to follow up on Sungmin, you said that you were that these are very clearly different cases that we're talking about, but what reason do you have to believe that the Russians share this view that what happened with Trevor Reed will not be a calculation in the negotiations for Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan?
Look, what I can assure you and the American people is that the team is committed. The president continues to be committed to do everything that we can to go down every avenue that we can to get Paul and Evan home. That is a commitment that we stand by. And under this administration, we have brought home dozens, certainly more than a dozen folks, Americans who have been wrongfully held, and also hostages. And that is something that you see this president's commitment. And he's made policy changes to show that commitment as well. I'm not going to get into any private discussions or private conversations that clearly because of reasons that are important, right, as we're having those conversations, because we do want to get them home. We just don't have anything beyond that to share.
What you just said.
Do you concede, Karine, that it complicates efforts to get home American detainees in Russia when a former prisoner who was swapped was now taking up arms, or had now taken up arms against Russia, the country that held him? Do you concede that that does complicate the effort to get other detainees?
What I can concede is that the teams are doing everything that we can, using every avenue that we can to bring Paul and Evan home. I'm not going to get into back and forth on this, and that is our commitment. Like I said before, these cases should be treated as entirely different cases, and so that's how we're moving forward on them.
Is he at a military hospital or a civilian hospital in Germany?
Because of privacy concerns, it's not something that I can share. I cannot.
Is the U.S. doing anything on his behalf to bring him home for there, or have they offered in any form?
I don't have anything else to share beyond what I've already shared.
About the Chinese foreign minister that very quickly, back in February, so now almost 6 months ago, the President of the United States said, I'm going to be speaking, or perhaps even meeting, with President Xi soon. Now one of the highest diplomats in the Chinese government has obviously been removed, dismissed. There's a new veteran diplomat in his place. Does that impact in any way any meeting that would take place between the president and his colleagues, given Anthony Blinken and others have been there recently? What is the status of that meeting that's now almost 6 months after the president said it would happen soon?
Don't have anything to confirm at this time on a call with the president of China. What I can say is that the president has been very clear. At some time soon, he will have a conversation with President Xi. Just don't have anything.
There's a new diplomat who replaced someone.
No. I mean, I was just asked when Steve asked me the question. I said it doesn't change anything. We are going to continue to move as we have been, continue to keep those lines of communications open. That has not changed.
Showtime, folks.
Thanks. Karine, a federal judge in California has blocked the administration's latest immigration rules on who can seek asylum at the border. Do you have any response to that? What are next steps?
Yep, a couple things on that I do want to share. So the way we see the ruling today, that nothing has changed. There's a stay, which means that our border enforcement plan remains in full effect. The Department of Justice will appeal the decision and seek and extend the stay. And as we have said multiple times, our border enforcement plan works. It is deterrence, diplomacy, and enforcement. We have seen that plan working. Unlawful border crossing have come down to the lowest that we have seen in the past 2 years. And so, again, nothing has changed. And as I said, the Department of Justice will appeal to extend that, to work to extend the stay.
Hey, that's pretty good.